Hi, this is Joey from J&J Fantasy Flyers.
And I'm Jason, and we're helping you soar above the competition.
Soar above the competition. This week is week 15, Jason, which is a lot of semifinals and some people's championships there if they want to get ahead of that week 16 curse, right?
Yes, it is, and it's a big week. You know, like every week in the playoffs, it's a win or go home. So
do or die.
It is a big week, and hopefully we're going to switch the format up here today a little bit, like we did last week. Again, we're going to talk about some players, some guys you might be nervous about, some guys that might have bad matchups.
Basically, we're going to answer every and all of the biggest questions in fantasy football, from Aaron Rodgers to what to do without Carson Wentz. Some quarterback streams in case you had Wentz and you were going into your season or you're going into your championship week. There's definitely a lot of questions this week, and there's also some key guys that are ranked within our top 10 at their position. They got some tough matchups that we're going to talk about as well, and whether or not we would rather go with maybe a lesser ranked guy that's got a better matchup. If we're looking for that boom or bust potential. Like always, you guys can reach us on Facebook, J&J Fantasy Flyers, or at Twitter at Fantasy Flyers, and also we do have a contact us page on our website as well. Feel free to ask away. We'll get to all your guys' questions and hopefully help you win a championship, and you guys can send us a thank you card, right?
Yeah, I always love a good thank you card.
Yeah, absolutely. Just one. We'd be cool with it.
Yeah.
We'll post Jason's address because my grandma told him off. So we're going to dive right into this, and I think, Jason, the number one question heading into week 15 is, can you start Aaron Rodgers?
Absolutely. I believe that is probably the number one question going into
Yeah, absolutely. He could have been dropped in leagues. You could have drafted him and held on to him.
Yeah.
He could be in a dynasty league, which I'm not because I'm out and it's bullshit. But
yeah, I think it's really kind of simple. I don't want to say kind of simple, but it's Aaron Rodgers. He's medically cleared. He's been throwing the ball now for a couple weeks, and last week there's reports that he's thrown the ball 50 yards in the air.
Yeah, to Trevor Davis.
Yeah, I think you put him in your lineups and you play him. There's a certain cutoff point. Obviously, you're not starting him over certain guys, but I think you put him in and you're going to be okay with him starting. He's still Aaron Rodgers. Should pick up right where he left off.
I don't think Green Bay's going to send him out there if they're not worried.
Exactly.
That he's going to get re-injured or anything like that.
Especially how close they are, man. They're teetering on missing the playoffs right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not worth it for the risk missing them, in the next season.
But what's the worst that could happen? If everything is, he got medically cleared. If he could throw the ball, he could throw the ball. He might get a little sore. I think maybe he doesn't. If let's say they get up big on Carolina, I think they're going to go to a more run-heavy game, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to have to pass the ball to win, and that's why Rodgers is going in.
Yeah, something I heard is that there is a chance that he falls on it just right in the exact spot to where he could re-injure.
What
are the chances of that specifically happening? That's what the team and Rodgers are gonna outweigh together and see if it's worth it or not.
We're gonna go through just a couple things here real quick. The chances are you don't have these options, and if you do, you're most likely starting the guy that got you to the championship or the semifinals as well. But to be perfectly honest with you here, if you got Russell Wilson, I think we both agree on Russell Wilson. That even though he's got a tough matchup going against the LA Rams, you got to start him over Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, you saw what he did last week against the number one defense in football.
Which it was scary there for a while.
It was scary, but good thing to count the whole game.
Yeah, absolutely. So Russell Wilson, I think, is a lock. He's most likely the number one guy. He got you there. You got to ride him, right?
Absolutely.
So moving down the list now, the one that kind of intrigues me a little bit, I'd say that we both would start Big Ben over Rodgers this week as well, right?
Yeah. I'm kind of on the fence about it, but I think given Ben's matchup, even though the Patriots defense has been better as of late, besides this past Monday. Everyone's got the beginning of the year in their heads, man. But since week 5, they haven't given up, no multi-touchdown games. So 1 touchdown per game, nothing over 300 yards. Their defense has been solid. Miami came out and torched them. Maybe that they kind of written up a blueprint for Pittsburgh. And I think.
But Pittsburgh's been hot. I mean, Baltimore's
Absolutely.
pretty tough. I'd say Baltimore's defense is better than New England's.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty safe to say Big Ben has a good game this week here. I like Bell as well in the matchup. I think if I was down on anybody, it'd maybe be Antonio Brown, just because Belichick normally takes away one option. I don't think you can take Bell away. I think you can take Brown away. So that's kind of a toss-up. But now the one that we definitely differ on is I think I would play Aaron Rodgers over Tom Brady. You're a little bit different on me than that one. I don't like Brady in fantasy playoffs. He's never put up later in the season. They go to a run, ball control. They got everything basically locked up, minus Pittsburgh. I mean, it really doesn't matter. And I mean, let's face it. I mean, the Steelers' defense is pretty good against the pass. I know Flacco kind of torched them last week, but Miami shut Brady down, and Brady's really had 2 bad weeks.
Yeah, and that's the thing. He's had 2 bad weeks. I can't see him having 3 bad weeks in a row. And they need to win this if they want to have that shot at the first number one seed. And it's going to be very important for them to get the number 1 seed because they don't want to have to go to Pittsburgh in the playoffs in December or January, to go to the Super Bowl. They want that game to be in Foxborough, and I think they come out guns blazing, and Tom Brady's going to put you up. And they still might lose the game, but I think they're going to come out trying to get out to a big lead early, and then maybe they run the clock down. But
Brady kind of scares me. Like I said, just past track record. I don't have the stats in front of me, but it seems like towards the end of the year he doesn't quite put up the numbers.
I did see something like someone on Twitter today posted Brady's fantasy record or Brady screwing us in fantasy playoffs, and it was somebody said back. I think went back to 2014.
Yeah.
And it was at least 1 or 2 games. I think 2015 it was all 3 games where he didn't do much of anything. So I get it, but I think this is a different situation. They're playing for that home field advantage, and they're going to want to go out and get it. And I mean, Pittsburgh's defense hasn't exactly been. They've been solid.
They are 6 against opposing quarterbacks.
They are 6, but they've been solid. They haven't really come out and shut anybody down. And I mean, I don't know.
Now, obviously New England's getting Gronk back, but I mean, is there really anybody? I mean, if you really look at New England's weapons, is there really one guy that scares you? I mean, minus Gronk. I mean, if you really look at what Miami did to him, I mean, watching the New England game like I did, I wasn't scared of Cooks. Like there was never once where I thought Cooks was going to go over the top. I mean, Howard played a great game on him.
I was going to say, Howard shut Cooks down. And to your point, there's no one that really scares me, but that's not what the Patriots are about. They're not about putting guys
no,
that scare you.
absolutely.
They have so many guys that you can't cover them all that they find the open guy.
I think a lot of this more comes down. I mean, obviously, if you got Brady and you start him over Rodgers, nobody's going to argue that. There's really no way. It's very tick-tack. Right. Yeah. I just think that Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers. If he didn't hurt his shoulder, he'd most likely be number 1 in our ranks. We're looking good at it. I don't think that you can run the ball against Carolina. And I really think it comes down to volume. I think Rodgers is going to get more volume. Brady has the opportunity there too, but I mean, as you've seen, it is so unpredictable. I mean, Burkhead kind of took you out, and
he did. And I think they should have fed him the ball more. I think maybe they'll see that and maybe do a little more this week. I mean, the guy is a weapon.
Yeah, I mean, it's all how they use it. I mean, you can't predict Belichick, and who knows how it's going to go, but I think you could run against the Steelers more than you can.
Especially with Shazier out now.
Yeah, I mean, they're ranked 17th against the run. I see. Actually, I think Deion Lewis actually has a pretty good game. I think he's the back to have in New England this week as well. But other than that, I mean, we also have Drew Brees and Phillip Rivers that are in the conversation. I think we like Rivers over Brees on that one, right?
Yeah, I think Rivers over Brees. I'm not a huge fan of Brees. I mean, it's nothing against Brees.
It's just that
personally, it's just he's not getting volume.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you look back, man, he hasn't had a season like this, except for back in 2000. It was in 2009 they won the Super Bowl.
Yep.
And his numbers are right around the same, and the rushing numbers are right around the same.
And it looks like Kamara's on track to come back. I mean, that whole offense just got shut down last week. It was just ugly.
Yeah, it happens.
I think they get a bounce back, though. I think Brees has a decent game. If you don't have Rodgers, I would definitely start Brees. Brees is in our top 10, arguably top 5, I would say. Going up against the Jets, they're 31st ranked against the pass. Yeah. I think I would maybe start Rivers over Brees, just against Kansas City. That whole division thing, though, is kind of
it's scary. I mean, I say you ride the Flames with Rivers, but I do agree with you. It's
I
always tough to play those division matchups.
And I tend to lean towards the player that's at home.
Yeah.
Okay, you know, Rodgers is on the road against Carolina, to where Drew Brees is home against the Jets, and Phillip Rivers is in Kansas City. So I'd probably lean maybe a little
Saturday
bit more.
night game there too.
Yeah, which I'm not a huge fan of that, but it is what it is. Now let's get into some real life scenarios to where kind of maybe even a harder question. You know, so Aaron Rodgers is going to be locked in for one half of these, but for the other half, I know, for example, Jason, and I'm going to ask you as a fan of you know the Jason side of J&J Fantasy Flyers. I have Aaron Rodgers and I have Case Keenum. Case Keenum has gotten me to this point to where I am now. Do I keep the faith in Case Keenum going up against the 10th ranked Cincinnati Bengals defense, or do I maybe go with Aaron Rodgers going up against Carolina?
Yeah.
Good answer.
Yeah. No, it's tough, man.
It's kind of scary because I think Keenum's going to put up decent numbers to where I can get by. But do I go for the upside of Rodgers?
And you've been riding Keenum. I imagine you've been riding Keenum the past 7 weeks. He got you to this point. I think you play Rodgers.
I think you have to as well. But I mean, if somebody were to tell me that Keenum, you know, hey, Keenum's going to give you 26 points, I'd put Keenum in my lineup.
Yeah, you know what? Something I like to do is you look at it in this perspective. How would you feel the next day if you look at your team and you lost because Aaron Rodgers blew up on your bench?
Yeah.
You know, or how would you feel if you lost with Case Keenum on your bench? You know, I would feel better if Case Keenum. You know, I think Aaron Rodgers is a better play. I mean, you're trying to be cute, starting Case Keenum, although he's been good. Like we said, Rodgers is coming back from this injury, and it's not one of those injuries where you got to be worried about is he 100%? Is he going to perform? You know, he's not a running back coming off of an ankle sprain, or Amari Cooper last week coming back with the ankle injury. You don't got to worry about that.
I think Case Keenum maybe has a safer floor. You know, Aaron Rodgers, we're kind of wondering, and you know, the part of the collarbone he broke was his throwing shoulder. I mean, what's the chances that he does aggravate it or does get sore? And I'm really kind of confided in the fact that I don't think the Packers would send him out there if he wasn't ready. You know, Rodgers has said all the right things. I don't think that it's going to be one of them turning around and hand the balls to Williams or Jones.
No, and I mean, I think Aaron Rodgers is going to go out and do an Aaron Rodgers to everybody and, you know, get this team in the playoffs.
Absolutely. So what about, you know, let's slide a little bit lower down on this list here. I'm just going to give you a couple situations. We're going to rifle off of it, and we'll circle back and talk about maybe the one guy who's been really hot, who's actually next. What about Aaron Rodgers versus Jared Goff?
Yeah, I'm going with Rodgers on that. I mean, Goff has been solid, but I mean, going against Seattle, which I know wasn't what it used to be beginning of the season.
And the Rams always play Seattle tough, even when they were, you know, they were pretty bad. But it's still in Seattle. I mean, who did Seattle play last week?
Jacksonville.
Yeah, Bortles had a pretty decent.
He had a fine game, yeah.
Game.
And
I mean,
nothing against, nothing against
Goff,
but I mean, it's Aaron Rodgers and it's Goff who has really been kind of inconsistent. I know the Rams as a team have been very good, but Goff hasn't really been blowing it up, you know, for fantasy purposes.
And it's one of them things to where you're kind of going with the upside, but it's tough to imagine anybody's got a higher upside than Aaron Rodgers. I mean, his ceiling, he could literally be the number one quarterback fantasy.
Oh, he could put up 303 touchdowns?
Yeah, and I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility.
No.
Where everybody else, you know, they would have to play their best game to get that. Now, the next two are just guys that, you know, I'm pretty much sure that we're going to go Aaron Rodgers. But it's Derek Carr and Alex Smith. I know Alex Smith, you know, has gotten a lot of people to this place. He's been real tough this week, or this year. But I mean, the LA Chargers they're fourth against opposing quarterbacks, and they shut Kirk Cousins down, shut him down, took him to Chinatown.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not playing Carr over Rodgers. I'm not even sure if I'm playing Carr at all.
Yeah, that's one of the things.
You know, I might find someone on the waiver wire like a Deshaun Kaiser or someone
Tom
like that.
Savage.
No, not Tom Savage. I mean, Alex Smith, he put up good numbers last week. He got
done better.
He got screwed by a couple touchdowns that got called back.
Yep. Yes, I did.
I mean, I guess it depends if you're willing to jump back on the beginning of the season Alex Smith bandwagon from we had the the little downtick in production.
Kansas City's got to win.
Uh,
Kansas City's got to win.
that Chargers defense has been tough.
Kansas City's got to win.
Yeah, but that Chargers defense is tough.
I agree. I agree.
I think I go with Rodgers over Smith, but
Oh, I'd say all day long. I don't even think it's close. If you had to ask me 10 times, I'm playing Rodgers all 10.
yeah. And just to clarify too, real quick, 'cause, I want to make sure we have this right. And do we have Smith over Rodgers in our rankings?
I don't think so.
I just want to make sure. I just want to clarify. If someone is above our rankings, I think Rodgers. That was because he's still not guaranteed to start yet. He's just expected to start, which Rodgers is above Smith. Okay. So it's just
We got Rodgers ranked as, I want to say it's almost top 5, isn't it?
it's number 6, which I think we're going to bump him up once it gets confirmed he's starting.
Yeah, I think we would maybe. I would almost see. I would put him a little higher than Tom Brady, myself.
Yeah, I think right now we have him below Cam Newton and
Yeah, so I mean Rivers is right underneath him. I think Rivers takes a little bit of a step up too. But hey, it's just one of the things. I think you got to go with Rodgers. If you drafted him, I mean, if you can use him for the semis, he's a guy that could take it there for you. But let's spin away from a guy coming back from injury to a team that just lost their starting quarterback, and that's Carson Wentz.
I thought you were gonna go with Tom Savage in Houston.
No, I didn't. I kind of feel bad for talking crap to you about starting Tom Savage last week. So I'm just gonna let that go. I mean, you still can't beat me, but we won't bring that up. So basically, here going forward, Carson Wentz. I don't think you start Nick Foles. I don't think that there's any situation that you can. Just the uncertainty of what is he gonna do with his first action here.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't think Foles is as much of a downgrade as people might be speculating. Although he is definitely a downgrade. But I agree. I don't think you can start him until you see what it's going to be, and then that gives you next week. You're in the finals, and I don't think you're starting him in your championship. So
I think the biggest question though with that situation and Aaron Rodgers' situation is too. How does that affect the rest of the team? I know we got Jay Ajayi, and LeGarrette Blount, Corey Clement, and guys like Nelson Aguilar or Alshon Jeffrey or Torrey Smith. And then also, in Green Bay, I mean, that's obviously Jordy Nelson's got to be the happiest guy on planet Earth right now.
Oh, yeah.
That Rodgers is coming back. I mean, and then also I think that hurts Jamal Williams and Aaron Jones. So, I mean, Jay, how about I'll tell you what, I'll give you the Eagles, I'll take the Packers. Tell me why, or tell me what's going to happen and how the Eagles are going to go forward here and, deal without having Carson Wentz.
Yeah, I mean, I think Jay Ajayi is definitely going to get a benefit from this. He's going to get more carries.
See what Brian Westbrook said about him?
I didn't.
He's the best running back that they've had, and nobody's had moves like that since Shady McCoy.
Yeah, that might be true, but
who else have they had? So, thanks, Brian.
Yeah, Ryan Matthews. But I mean,
I guess they had DeMarco Murray.
They did have DeMarco Murray. He didn't do much for him, but that was a Chip Kelly offense. So
yeah.
Anyways, Jay Ajayi. I mean, his snap count was up to 50% this past week. Every week he's seeing more and more action with Garrett Blount. Still getting the first plays, but I think he's getting phased out. They're getting Ajayi ready for the playoffs, and they're going to start implementing him more, especially now with Foles in and Wentz out. I think the guy's going to take the biggest negative hit here is going to be Nelson Aguilar. Wentz threw him open. He put the ball where he needed it to be. Jeffrey, I think he's going to be fine. He might see a small downtick, but at the same time, he might see more targets because these backup quarterbacks like to lock in on guys that they like. I think Jeffrey's going to be one of those guys. And again, Ertz, or whoever their tight end might be, if Ertz is out, which would be Burton, I believe. Is it Burton?
Yeah, Burton and Selleck.
Selleck, yeah. So I think Ertz is. I think the team as a whole, the whole passing game, is going to see a hit in production just because they're not going to be putting up the same numbers.
Do you start Alshon Jeffrey?
Yeah, I think you're okay starting Jeffrey. I think obviously you're going to be okay starting Ertz. I think Jay Ajayi needs to be a starter for you now if you weren't.
He's a must start.
in a 2 running back league, yeah, I think he's.
What
gonna
about
be
a
solid
run in the
number two.
flex? I mean, I guess it all comes down to really who you got. But let me just go down on
In
a
a
wide
standard
receiver
league,
ranking.
I think he's a must start in a standard league for sure. In a PPR, maybe you got some better options.
Let me give you this. Let's just say in a flex spot, okay?
Okay.
You have Josh Gordon, you have Jay Ajayi. Who are you starting on that? PPR.
I mean, even Josh Gordon's not getting a lot of PPR action. He's getting 3-4 catches a game.
No, but who are you starting? If you had to pick
Who are
one,
the Browns playing?
Baltimore. Tough matchup.
Yeah, I'm going to Jai this week.
You're not scared of like LeGarrette Blount and Corey Clement keeping that role?
I'm not.
Do you think they're going to need more in an Ajayi ground game?
Yeah, I mean, he was fine last week.
It just seems like every time you tell us to start Jay Ajayi, he just sucks. So.
Yeah, well, you know, it's eventually, maybe, hopefully.
Yeah, you gotta get right one of these times. But we're gonna transition here over to
Maybe the Packers.
the Green Bay Packers, and like I said, I think Jordy Nelson has been unstartable, basically unrosterable. If he's a free agent, go grab him by all means.
Yeah, look, because he might be out there.
Yeah,
Sometimes.
and if he's out there, you need to grab him. And to be honest with you, I think Jordy Nelson hops right in the top 10. I don't think it misses a beat. Would you agree with me on that one?
Yeah, I think we have him ranked close to the top
18.
18, which again,
Randall Cobb, I think, takes. To be honest with you, I think it hurts Devontae Adams a little bit. Devontae Adams was the number 1 wide receiver with Brett Hundley in there, and that kind of speaks to the fact of what Jason was saying with Nick Foles. He's going to lock in on a wide receiver, so he might even lock into like a Mac Hollins or I don't know the other guy they got. I don't know, it's Hollins. Who knows?
Yeah.
But so I think almost Devontae Adams takes the bigger hit out of all 3. I like Randall Cobb. I think he's going to go right back to his normal workload. Alshon Jeffrey or Jordy Nelson as well. But I really think it hurts the running game. I don't think that they're going to use Jamal Williams and Aaron Jones like they have been, especially against Carolina's defense. So I think it's kind of a little bit of both. I couldn't even tell you the Green Bay Packers starting tight end, so I wouldn't even worry about starting that guy. But is it Richard Rodgers still?
I think it is Rodgers. Yeah.
Either way, don't start him. But other than that, I mean, I don't know. It's one of them things to where it's just one of them things. I mean, Aaron Rodgers, he's gonna make everybody else better, and it's you can roll the dice for week 1, but there's I like to look at things like what's more likely to happen, and I think when we're back on the show next week, we're gonna say, "Oh, Aaron Rodgers is back, baby." And just get ahead of that trend, and you know what? Go for broke, man. You're here for a reason. The guy you're playing's got a pretty good team. You got to go for it. Just got to send it, right, Jay?
That's it. Send it.
So we're going to go right into our running backs here. We're going to start with the toughest matchup that we can find. That's probably going to be Todd Gurley going up against the Seattle Seahawks this week in the 4th-ranked run defense. Nope, I'm sorry, I lied. They're going up against
Seattle.
no.
The 4th-ranked run defense.
Is it Seattle?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Jacksonville played Seattle. I keep getting the 2 mixed up. Next guy we're going to talk about is Fournette, so I do apologize. But, so Jay, obviously Todd Gurley's got you this far. Is there any scenario where we're not starting Todd Gurley?
No.
Not one.
No.
Say we're in a 2 running back league. We got Le'Veon Bell, Alvin Kamara, Todd Gurley. You can only start 2.
Oh, jeez. Well, then I guess maybe then. I don't know if that's an actual situation you might be in, but
it could have happened. I mean, you could have took Le'Veon Bell and Gurley with your top 2 picks.
Yeah, I mean, I would have traded one by now, but yeah, I mean.
Really?
Well, if you can only start 2, why are you keeping on 3?
Maybe. Well, Kamara did come on, late, and just think about it. I mean, you got 3.
All right. I mean, I guess if you have the top 3 running backs in fantasy, then yeah, I guess bench Gurley this week. But
other than
any other
that,
situation besides that, no.
We're not getting cute. You're starting Gurley.
Yeah, I mean, he was safe, I guess, last time we played Seattle. I mean, 7 points. It's
worst game of the year.
Yeah, I mean, it is,
But Seattle's not the same Seattle.
No, I mean, just lost 2 more linebackers last week. The secondary's hurt. That defense is really hurting, and they're gonna ride Gurley, I think, and pretty hard against Seattle.
Yeah, I think he's getting double-digit points right around 16 is what I got him projected for, and you're sign up for that any day of the week. Let's slide down to another guy who kind of looked a little rejuvenated last week, if I must say so myself. That's Leonard Fournette going up against the surprisingly 3rd-ranked Houston's defense against opposing fantasy running backs.
Yeah, Houston's defense has been tough, man. And
Against running backs.
Yes.
They can't stop a cold in the secondary.
And look, I mean, they played Houston week 1, and Fournette ran 126 touches, 100 yards, and 1 touchdown.
Yep.
And that was when they had J.J. Watt and the whole defense together.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, he's still playing them. You know, these are guys that you're still playing. Maybe temper your expectations a little bit. If you do have some of these guys with a tougher matchup, and you're looking at your flex position, you know, maybe look for that
Bigger
boom or bust type player instead of a guy with a safer floor. You know, get those guys into your lineups to help even out these guys that might not go and put up, you know, 20 plus points.
And right before we continue going on this, and guys, maybe that we would start over for that, I just want to touch on the importance of drafting a playmaker with your first overall pick, whether you were 1 or 2. If you were lucky enough to get Le'Veon Bell, I mean, he can save your season. You could be down by a lot of points. Let's just put it like that. I'm not going to any specific example. I don't know why I would even come up with this, but you could be down by a lot of points, and you know Bell just puts up 40. Next thing you know, you're right into it, and you're praying to God that Burkhead doesn't get 20 to knock Jason out of the playoffs, and he doesn't. He only got 16, and you know I move on to a championship. So that's really the importance of drafting that number 1 guy, and you know the guy that can really kind of lead your team. And to be honest with you, you know if and when I win my Super Bowl this year, it's going to be because Le'Veon Bell. There's no doubt about it. You know he's really can make up for guys that you know have bad weeks and this and that, and that's why that guy gets drafted 1 or 2. And just remember that going next year and years past. You know if you can get that pick, don't get cute. Take that guy who's gonna be able to give you them boom weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. The same guy like Todd Gurley, Kamara, all these guys that can just put up crazy points. You know, Brown and Julio from week to week. That he's not very consistent, but he puts up those week winners. You know.
Yep.
You know, you put up 40 points from your running back or wide receiver. I mean, pretty much had it locked up.
Yeah, let's just start with Tom Savage. But anyways, we're going into Leonard Fournette here. Like I said, 3rd rank. Sorry. So, let me ask you this. Would you start Kenyon Drake over Leonard Fournette? He's going up against he's probably got the sexiest matchup out of any running back here. We got Drake ranked as our 8th best running back. Fournette is 6th. Is there a situation where you could see Kenyon Drake starting over Leonard Fournette in your number 2 running back spot, or number 1, depending on your situation here? I mean, there's a good chance that if you only have a 1 running back league and these are your options, they're most likely going to start them in your flex as well. But let's just say you don't. Let's just say you have to pick between 1 or 2.
If Damian Williams is out again, I think I might roll out Kenyon Drake against the worst run defense in the NFL in Buffalo. It's going to be a cold weather game. They're going to want to be running the ball.
And Kenyon Drake looked good, let's be honest.
Did you see some of the moves that I don't know if you watched the game against it, and who was it, Gruden?
Yes.
Pointing out, he's like, no offense to J.J., but I don't think he can make a move.
He don't
like
make that move. Yeah, I like that, and Adam Gase loved that as well. He liked it on Twitter afterwards.
And I mean, he does, man. He was putting some moves on.
Yeah, he spun right out of the backfield, man. I couldn't believe it. I ain't seen a guy like that since Joe Montana.
Joe Montana.
So,
but yeah, like I said, if Damian Williams is out, yeah, I mean, I can see a situation. It's tough. I think maybe I would do it, man. It's just hard to do, but you got to roll what is going on. And I mean, he's got over 20 carries the past 2 weeks, over 20 touches, over 100 yards rushing each week. I mean, he gets.
And it's a juicy matchup.
It is. It really is. And they're going to be going to win. Dolphins win out, man. They're giving themselves a shot to make the playoffs. And I mean, I think the team might be rejuvenated now. The defense might be rejuvenated the way they played Brady. The offense as a whole, this team, maybe they're starting to see new life.
Remember when you picked up me for my defensive stream of the week last week?
Yeah. It happens. So, how about you? How do you feel about Drake and Fournette?
I'm playing against Fournette, so I'm going Drake.
Yeah. So,
what about Mark Ingram?
Top-notch fantasy analysis.
6th ranked against the run. I mean, I think if that's one of the cases, I think I like Fournette a little bit better than Mark Ingram, just for the simple fact that Fournette's the only guy.
This is going to be weird now because if Kamara's back, I actually like Ingram more.
Yeah, this is one thing that you don't ever hear. But,
he's been so much better with Kamara in there, and I mean, yeah, I think I'm starting marking him over Leonard Fournette.
Yeah, see, I think I'd go the other way. I think I would go Fournette. However, what about Kareem Hunt? He's kind of one of the guys. Everybody's singing their praises. Championship. But man, he really has not been the guy that you want him to be.
No, you're absolutely right. And I think if you're doing Fournette versus Hunt right there, I'm going to go Fournette. I mean, Hunt, he put up the numbers again last week finally. But I mean, Fournette's been steady all year long, man. He's been just ground and pound.
He's a touchdown machine. If you get a touchdown from Fournette, that's
yeah. And it's the touches. He's getting the touches every single week. Hunt is just finally got some more touches last week. I think before that, he got 9 carries the week before, 11 the week before that. He got an 18 against the Giants there, but 9. He's not getting the carries that you expect out of a number 1 running back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I definitely agree with you there as well. I mean, chances are you got Fournette, he got you here. You're gonna start him. You gotta roll with him. But let's go down to maybe something to where it gets a little bit more exciting, maybe a little bit more questions to where we kind of start maybe wanting to panic a little bit. And that's Carlos Hyde. I know he's kind of made our show here the past 3 shows. I mean, he is our number 11th ranked running back this week. He is going up against the Tennessee Titans, who are 8th against the run. It's actually a sneaky good run defense Tennessee's got going on there. And Jimmy Garoppolo looked pretty good. I think you beat Tennessee through the air. I think that's going to be their best bet. We're going to list off a couple guys. Jay, you had mentioned how much you like Jay Ajayi this week. Do you start Jay Ajayi over Carlos Hyde?
I think that's tough for me to do right there. And just real quick, Leonard Fournette is going against who? Houston?
Yep.
And they're the what ranked defense?
3rd.
And Tennessee's the what?
8th.
Okay. And Carlos Hyde put up 78 yards and a touchdown last week against Houston.
Okay.
So I'm not worried about Carlos Hyde this week. I think he's even better with Garoppolo. And I mean, he's not that sexy name, man.
But let's put it like this, and this is kind of what scares me. And if you check out our sleeper sections on our website, JNJFantasyFlyers.com, it's not going to be there next year. I don't think he's going to be. He's in a contract year. And I don't think his future is with San Francisco. At some time, Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch need to see what Matt Breida can do and the rest of the guys. I mean, there is a good chance that Hyde's workload can be kind of knocked down here for the rest of the season, just to see a little bit. And I think that you would agree with me, the thing that makes Hyde a good running back is the amount of work. It's volume. He's not going to break off that 90-yard run or big chunk plays. He's not like a Jay Ajayi. You know what I'm saying?
I would kind of agree with that. The problem with that assessment is I think they would have had Breida in already if that was the case, if they wanted to see what he had. I think maybe they might ride Hyde to try and get what they can out of him, ride Hyde, and build his trade value. If they can
trade, but he's already gone. They can't trade him. I mean, he's already going to be a free agent. I don't know where you're going with that one. You could trade him on Madden, I guess.
I guess to your other point too. I mean, he's only had more than 20 carries once this year. He's got 14, 17, 16, 17, 12, 14, 13. So it's not like he's getting a lot of carries. So I mean, his volume is there, but he's just been very consistent and steady.
He's like eating just a plain vanilla ice cream cone, man.
And if that's the type, like you were talking about, that's the guy you need. If you're playing one of these tougher matchups, if you got Fournette, Hyde's not the guy you want to play. Hyde's the guy you want on your bench. Maybe Jay Ajayi's the guy you want in there because he does have the upside for maybe 80 yards and a touchdown, or 200 yards and a touchdown or 2, or going against a horrible Giants defense.
Now let me ask you this. I mean,
or Juju, or you know what I mean?
What about your boy? Your savior here, Rex Burkhead.
Rex Burkhead. What about him?
Do you start him over Carlos Hyde, or what about like maybe an Alfred Morris or Marshawn Lynch? I mean, they all got better matchups. Burkhead's going up against the 17th best defense against running backs. Morris has got the 22nd. Lynch has got the 19th. I mean, they all got better matchups there. Lynch kind of scares me a little bit. Alfred Morris going up against the Oakland Raiders as well. I kind of like that matchup, but Rod Smith's been stealing a lot of the PPR work down there. And Rex Burkhead, he's either the game plan or he's not even on the field.
Yeah, but he's still been good. I mean, he didn't even see the second half last week, and he still put up 16 points.
That's because I called Belichick. Told him, hey man, I gotta beat Jay.
Is that what it was?
He said, I got you, bro.
I mean, I would start Burkhead.
Over Hyde?
Over Hyde. Who else did you mention?
Alfred Morris, Marshawn Lynch.
Yeah, I think I would start all those guys over Hyde. And just real quick, I mean, besides the Week 11 against Oakland, which I think Burkhead fumbled early, and he didn't see the rest of the game. You know, he's put up 15 points, 19, 25, 16. He's solid, man. He's going to be used. You know, as much as you like the Belichick game plan stuff, it's him and Deion Lewis, and I mean you're going to see the ball. And I definitely like Burkhead going forward, especially in a game that they're going to be wanting to win, man. I think their offense is going to be burning on all cylinders this week.
And see, I disagree with you on New England's offense. I'm a little lower on Burkhead than you are. But let's go to maybe the worst. You know, the first round of playoffs or second round of playoffs, depending on your league construction. If you had DeAndre Hopkins, you're feeling pretty good about yourself. I know I went up against Hopkins in both my leagues, and I did end up winning one against, you know, the Tom Savage-led FinFan team in my one league, which is Jason. And then I also lost in the Dynasty because his entire team and Jordan Howard decided to put up 28 points in, you know, this and that. But, I mean, DeAndre Hopkins has the worst possible fantasy matchup. Going up against A.J. Bouye and Jalen Ramsey. And you know what, to be honest with you, Jay, what did Hopkins actually do against them last time, do you know?
Yeah, I actually just looked, and he went 7 for 55 and a touchdown in week 1.
Which, if you get that, 7 catches, 55 yards, oh, that was week 1, though?
Yeah.
And a touchdown, I mean, you would sign up for that all day long. If DeAndre Hopkins gave you 755 and a touchdown, by all means. Now,
I mean, Seattle, he put up 224 and a touchdown, another good pass defense. Baltimore, another good, tough pass defense. He put up 7 for 125. I mean, so he's putting up numbers against, you know, good pass defenses.
but Jacksonville's, man, they're a team. They're a scary team.
They are, and I mean, you know, just to really make it real simple and quick, it doesn't matter.
You got to start Hopkins.
You're starting Hopkins.
Is there
no
anybody
situation-
that you're putting in over Hopkins? I mean, is there anybody
No.
on our rankings here that you would feel? I mean, the only other one that I could really honestly think of would be Larry Fitzgerald, but with their quarterback situation and what he did last week, it kind of scares me.
But that's if you're starting. I mean, if you're starting 2 wide receivers.
Yeah, I mean, but
Most
there's a
leagues
good
you're
chance.
starting 3 or 4.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way that Hopkins doesn't see your starting lineup. I mean, do I like maybe? Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much a no-brainer. Do you start Jordan Nelson? If you had to pick one, let's say you're in daily, do you pick DeAndre Hopkins in daily this year? I think that's one of the matchups that you got to just stay away from.
Yeah, in a daily play, I mean, yeah, you don't even touch that type of a matchup.
Yeah, that's just better to
Even
walk
if
away.
I mean, it could win you the week, but chances are, I think he's going to give you a floor. You know, he's going to get a bunch of targets.
I got him right about 12 points in PPR.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
I don't
He's
think
probably
he gets
5 or
a
6
touchdown.
catches for 50, 60 yards.
I think Houston gets shut down, to be honest with you. I'd be shocked if they even scored. I think he's going to get, you know, maybe 4.
I mean, you saw how
Well,
TJ
for
Yates
80.
just targeted the crap out of him. when he
Yeah,
came in last year.
yeah. I mean, and that's what he needs. I mean, Tom Savage is anybody who picks up Tom Savage and plays him. It's just
And I'm just for a touch on this one again this week. It just goes to show how horrible Brock Osweiler really is.
yeah, absolutely. Because man, jeez.
Because anybody can make DeAndre Hopkins good, or DeAndre Hopkins can make it. I mean,
And next year, I mean, when Deshaun Watson comes back and all that, I mean, that's going to be a sexy offense for fantasy takers there. And to be honest with you, I think I'm going to avoid the whole situation with
that whole
Watson.
team, man, if they can keep that defense healthy, if J.J. Watt can stay on the field,
Yeah, they're
Watson
sneaky
comes
good.
back 100%.
Sneaky
Man,
good. I
that-
think
that
Eli Manning
team-
goes to Jacksonville next year, though,
Yeah,
and I think that makes them tough.
I think he's not going to be in New York. I don't know if he's going to wind up in Jacksonville. He probably will with Tom Coughlin, but
Well, anyways, let's go to maybe some guys where we can see us starting somebody else. And I just want to touch on one guy real quick. We're not going to spend too much time on him, but are you starting Amari Cooper this week in any format?
I mean, yeah, if you start 6 wide receivers,
He would be number 7 for me.
yes. Yeah, no, I mean, you're not starting. I mean, he
You
hasn't
can't.
been good.
You can't. He
And-
just hasn't. He hasn't done shit.
And then there's the whole ankle issue where I think he was in for, I don't know how long he was in, but he didn't do anything. They pulled him out because we re-aggravated the injury.
just
So
stay away from Amari Cooper. We're sorry for even telling you to draft him. But let's go over maybe 2 of the best names here in fantasy football. One guy that I hate to admit to say that I was wrong that I would have took as the number 1 wide receiver. That's Mike Evans. I mean, Mike Evans has not been there. He just has not been there for whatever reason, and I think it's got a lot to do with
Disneyland. Disneyland.
Tampa is just horrible. And I mean, Jay, let's just go over some guys that you would maybe start. You know, you have a question here as to who you start. I mean, as a Mike Evans owner myself, I mean, he's last week was 2 for 25. I mean, come on, and he had a sexy matchup.
I think he's got 4 targets over the past 2 games.
It's just not good. I mean, don't get me wrong, Mike Evans could blow up. The chances are he probably will because I'm out of the playoffs and it doesn't matter for me anymore. But I mean, would you start maybe a guy like maybe a Chris Hogan over Mike Evans? I mean, it's going to be his second year back. You think New England's offense is going to take off?
Yeah, I mean, Chris Hogan's a tough play, man, just because I haven't seen it from him again since he's been back and healthy. But at the same time, man, Mike Evans hasn't been doing anything, and I think maybe you take the upside of Hogan over Evans. I don't know if Evans has any real upside at this point in the season.
Yeah,
I mean, you haven't seen it from him all year.
Yeah, I mean, he's been real mediocre at best. I mean, he hasn't had that Mike Evans game. He's almost like, I would say that he is like a Julio Jones without the big plays, or the big weeks.
Yeah,
it's just kind of tough to watch him. But let's go over a couple guys. I can't believe that this is even a conversation. But what about like maybe a Juju Smith-Schuster or Mike Wallace?
A Juju Smith-Schuster, I really like him. It's going to be tough for me to play him over Mike Wallace just because I don't know how involved he's going to be. Yeah, Mike Evans. You said Wallace. Got me all confused. But I just don't know how involved he's going to be. I know when he left, even his last game there, he gets suspended. I don't even think he was that really involved the last game. Martavis has been stepping it up the past couple games. He's been getting more targets, more highly involved in the offense, which I don't know if that's just because Juju hasn't been there, or maybe he's starting to build a little bit more of a rapport with Ben again, and you know he's gonna keep that going. And the Juju, and when you saw that Tomlin basically benched him because he didn't want him getting tired, or he was getting tired from the long season.
The rookie wall.
Yeah, I mean he's 4 receptions 2 weeks ago against Cincinnati for 17 yards
and 1 block.
Yeah, and then the Green Bay games where he was benched. 4 for 47 against Tennessee, 5 for 97 touchdowns. So, I mean, aside from those 2 games where he got those couple touchdowns and some yardage against good matchups, he hasn't really done much for me, man. So I think I'm going to ride Mike Wallace. I think they both really... Mike Evans.
Let's transition here. What about Mike Wallace? I mean, Mike Wallace has been one of them sneaky good plays.
Yeah, I would play Mike Wallace over Mike Evans.
Oh, you would?
I would.
Got pretty excited on that one.
Yeah, because I got the names right. Yeah.
He's a gold star.
Thank you, sir. I mean, yeah, Juju, no.
Chris Hogan.
I think Hogan's a yes. Hogan's and Wallace is a yes. Juju's a no.
Amari Cooper.
No.
What about this? Okay, we're gonna have 2 different discussions here. Would you play Mike Evans or Josh Gordon?
Shenanigans. Who does Cleveland play?
Baltimore.
Who does Tampa play? Atlanta.
Monday night.
Shoot, man, that is tough. That is real tough. I think I gotta go with Mike Evans. I mean that Jimmy Smith and that defense has just been tough.
Jimmy Smith's out for the year.
Oh yes, I did hear. Yeah. So maybe you do go Gordon.
I need an answer right now. Give me 1-word answer. Josh Gordon. Or you're gonna have to do. It's gonna be 2 words, first and last name. Josh Gordon, Mike Evans. Who you got?
Mike Evans.
Final answer.
Mike Evans. Final answer for the $1 million.
For all you Patriot fans out there, fins up, baby.
Shut him down.
Okay, so let's transition to Josh Gordon because obviously he's been, one of the sexiest names in fantasy football. And everybody's, do you start Josh Gordon? Do you play Josh Gordon? Do you do this? Do you do that? I know you went up against Josh Gordon in both leagues last year. or last week, I'm sorry, in our dynasty and our regular. He had a pretty decent week. I'd say if he gets 15 points, you sign up for it all day long.
He had a decent first quarter.
Whatever, points are points.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think he's solid. He's going to be safe.
But Baltimore is a scary matchup, let's be honest. There's a good chance that Cleveland does not score this game. Another shutout for the Ravens. Would you start a guy that's up and comer, super excited? One of my favorite plays was actually my premium play of the week last week. That's D.D. Westbrook. Over Josh Gordon.
Over Josh Gordon. Who's Jaguars?
Houston.
That's right.
24th against the pass. It's only going to get harder after Westbrook.
I mean, in a pinch.
It's not a pinch. This is your situation.
Yeah. I played D.D. Westbrook over Josh
Cooper
Gordon.
Kupp.
Yes, I played Cooper Kupp.
Demaryius Thomas.
Who do they play?
They play Indianapolis on Thursday night.
Thomas, yeah.
Robbie Anderson with Bryce Petty, which I personally think is an upgrade for Anderson, because if you look at what Petty did last year,
I was gonna say.
he loved him some Robbie Anderson.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why people were excited about Anderson, was expecting Bryce Petty to be the quarterback.
Can I just say here, and I know you've been giving me credit for the last 2 weeks and you wanted me to say something here on the show, but I pretty much nailed that Josh McCown pick, didn't I?
You did, yeah. I mean, we were talking about it, and I remember that you called it McCown as a sneaky top 10. I believe he was a top 10 quarterback coming into this past week, where he hurt his hand and went out in classic McCown style. Which sucks for him, man, because he was so close to making it a full season.
Yeah.
But
and I'll tell you what, the Jets weren't as bad as we thought they were going to be. Let's be honest.
I mean, the whole Jets were surprised.
Yeah. I mean, Robbie Anderson could, to be honest with you, if he lost Beckham or like I did, or Amari Cooper was just anemic all year, it's one of them things to where Robbie Anderson saved my season.
And Adam Thielen saved mine. So, mine was a little better, but.
Yeah. But also Robbie Anderson and Adam Thielen. Robbie Anderson wasn't getting drafted in some leagues. Thielen pretty much was. Tomato, tomato.
I don't know. Maybe it wasn't.
Either way,
anyways.
So, that's definitely one thing to where. So, I think we're starting all them guys over Josh Gordon, right?
Yeah.
Who would you play Josh Gordon over?
Oh.
Let me actually give you a pretty decent one here. Josh Gordon or Kenny Stills? Kenny Stills been sneaky good. It didn't do anything against New England.
That is a tough one. They are playing the Bills in Buffalo.
I'll give you an easy one after this one, because I feel like I've been pretty mean to you here today.
You're always kind of mean to me, but
it's just because I beat you all the time.
I'm going to roll with Kenny Stills, I think, over Josh Gordon.
That's a tough one. All right, so here's the key. This is what everybody tuned in this week. Do you start Josh Gordon, or do you start Mac Hollins from Philadelphia?
Oh, Josh Gordon.
All day?
Oh, yeah, I think it's I mean, I don't want to say it's an easy one, because Mac Hollins does have some sort of upside where he could, bust
Especially
off a big one or something. So, I mean, yeah, it's Josh Gordon.
Josh Gordon. All right. So Josh, we got you in there, one buddy. And to be honest with you, Jason,
I got one for you real quick. I know it's probably easier than what I'm thinking. But would you start Devontae Parker with Josh Gordon?
No, I would not play Parker at all.
Me neither. But
He's just there to just. It's just not there. So let's see. We're going to go both ends of the spectrum here. Obviously, we're going to talk a little bit more in depth with the Philly injuries. And then also, two guys that did not play last week that most likely got you to your playoffs. And if you survive not having, the top two tight ends in the league in Rob Gronkowski and Zach Ertz, and you made it to week 2, obviously Gronk is healthy. Ertz has that concussion. That's kind of scary. But Gronk is going up against the number 1 team against tight ends in the Pittsburgh Steelers. Zach Ertz is going up against the 32nd ranked. Jason, let's say Ertz does play, they're both healthy. Which one, if you had the choice, are you rolling with? Brady and Gronk or Ertz and Foles?
I think it's Brady and Gronk. Just because,
Even the matchup?
Yeah, the matchup's the matchup. Gronk doesn't come in as your prototypical tight end, I think he doesn't fall into tight end stats just because he's not like every other tight end.
Absolutely.
He's Gronk, and Gronk is going to Gronk. So.
Now, what about Zach Ertz? Do you think Zach Ertz maybe takes a down tick with Carson Wentz not being there?
You know, man.
Speak with your head, not with your heart.
I don't think so, because if you look back to the year Foles had there, and I think Ertz, he was hurt, and he came on strong when he was there healthy. Ertz has been solid with Foles. I mean, maybe he's not going to get the red zone targets, the touchdowns. I don't know what the red zone situation is going to be now with Foles. Maybe they run it a little more, so they don't put the ball in Foles' hands in that type of situation. They don't want to turn it over the ball close to the end zone like that. So that would be my only concern there.
Now let me ask you this. I know that we've been asked. I agree with you here for the most part. I think you start both of them. Doesn't matter who you got.
If Ertz isn't in, you're plugging Burton in and expecting dang near the same results.
Yeah, I don't know about all that. Let's go a little bit deeper here with tight ends, just in case, because it is a very thin position. Charles Clay versus Miami, former Dolphin, normally has a pretty good game against Miami every year. However, uncertainty there at the quarterback position with Tyrod and Peterman, and also the weather conditions in Buffalo. I mean, if we were to look outside right now, it's snowing, and we all watched the game last week. So
that was a fun game to watch, though.
Was it?
Yeah, I mean it's not something you want to watch for good football. That's something you want to watch all the time.
It kind of makes you think of when you were a kid and all the kids in the neighborhood got together.
It reminds you of the old backyard game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It's fun that way.
You push some kid's head in the dirt because he knocked you into the tree.
Yeah, and he's got snow all over his face, and he goes home and cries. And then you get called your mom. And
I've been there a couple times. But Charles Clay, I think that's a sneaky good, deep sleeper here for.
If Tyrod is starting, which as long as he clears.
Concussion
protocol, he's been named a starter, and if that's the case, then I think you roll out Charles Clay. I don't think you have to worry about it too much. Tyrod loves Clay, and I'm not sure. I think Benjamin might be out again this week.
I know it's questionable right now. But let's go to a different situation here. Maybe it's a couple of guys here on the same team. Would you start O.J. Howard over Cameron Brate? It almost seems like that torch has almost been passed, right?
Yeah, and I even just left last week. I was on the Cameron Brate side, and it was Jameis Winston liked Cameron Brate over O.J. Howard, and I mean then you start to see that the targets are slowly going towards O.J.
The plays, the
percentage of plays are favoring O.J. Howard, and it's.
I think I still roll Cameron Brate this week. I know
it would be wrong, so
it's kind of tough to see. O.J. Howard come in and Cameron Brate. I know Cameron Brate's near and dear to your heart. You named your son after him and all that. But
that's not true, but
you're a huge Cameron fan. So Jordan Cameron Brate. I mean, the list goes on and on.
I would consider Cameron Wade, but not Cameron Brate.
What about Jordan Cameron?
No.
Cameron Jordan.
That one. No, I'm just confused.
Oh, we all. Remember the one year somebody drafted Cameron Jordan?
Yeah.
In fantasy?
It's tough to keep track of them.
Well, anyways, like I said, I know how much Cameron Brate's near and dear to your heart, so I want to speak very well of him because A, I love your child, and B, I mean, I don't want his role model in life to be talked bad about on J&J Fantasy Flyers, but I think that I would actually start Cameron Brate over O.J. Howard. I just think that rapport is there with Winston. I just think it's more of a factor that Cameron Brate had a better week, or O.J. Howard had a better week, and I think a lot of it is just game flow and how that went, because that game was ugly. I don't know if you watched any of it.
I did not watch any of it, but I have seen. I would say highlights, but I don't know if you consider those highlights. Yeah, it was definitely an ugly game, even though I did not see it live. I'm definitely on the O.J. Howard side of that situation. So I guess we're pretty much wrapping up the tight end position, and again, we will be jumping right into, I think, what is both of our favorite part of every single episode.
Before we say it.
Nope.
You know where I'm going with this.
No, I don't. Where are you going?
You need to admit that I was right last week.
About what?
About my defensive stream of the week.
Well, obviously you were right. I mean, just look at the points.
You should give me some credit because you laughed at me. You actually scoffed at me. Just like that.
Scoff at that pick.
Can I go to the well twice? Can I go back to the Dolphins against Buffalo? I mean, the Dolphins are what ranked? Or I don't even think we put them on the list, did we?
No. I think I only did 10 defenses. No,
12.
I like this.
We did 12.
There's only 4 people left in each.
Yeah, absolutely. But no, I think the Miami Dolphins going up against the Buffalo Bills. I mean, who's Tyrod Taylor? We're not going to get in this argument again, but come on. Miami's defense is playing possessed. Xavier Howard could arguably be the best cornerback in the NFL at the end of next year. You heard it here first, J&J Fantasy Flyers. Xavier Howard, number 25 from the Miami Dolphins, is going to be the number 1 cornerback at the end of next year. Calling it now. Dude is sick. TJ McDonald, Rashad Jones. Dolphins defense got it going on. I mean, let's be honest, that defensive line. I don't think if you had to ask Tom Brady right now.
Like Stacy's mom song.
Who?
Stacy's mom. Stacy's mom.
Like Zach Stacy's mom?
Get with the time. Zach Stacy. Oh, flash in the pan. Alright, I'm gonna roll with the Atlanta Falcons this week. Facing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And we just talked about the crapshoot Tampa Bay game was last week. I mean, Falcons have a good pass rush. I think they can get to Jameis. I think they can get some sacks.
That corner comes back too.
Possibly force some turnovers. I mean, I think they're going to hold them. I think it's going to be a close game. And I mean, that's close. It's going to be low scoring for Tampa Bay. So if your league takes scoring into account, then I think that's going to be a positive for you. I mean, they're 24th on the year, so I definitely think they're out there for you to pick up and play if you need a good defense. If you need a defense for 1 week that's going to just not kill you, or I mean, they could definitely win you the week, depending on how well everything goes. But I think they're just going to go out there and be a solid defense for you this week.
I think Dolphins defense will be better.
I think you would be wrong.
Right here. Miami Dolphins parking people. Right here. We're from Buffalo. We know what's going to happen.
Get your cars off my lawn. Get off my lawn.
Where's that even come from?
Dolphins parking.
I guess. But anyways, I'm Joey from J&J Fantasy Flyers.
Old man, I'm Jason. We're helping you soar above the competition.
We'd like for you guys to check us out on Facebook, J&J Fantasy Flyers, on Twitter,
at Fantasy Flyers, and on the World Wide Web on our website,
jnjfantasyflyers.com. Other than that, we wish you the best of luck. We definitely appreciate you guys sticking with us here this year in our first year of J&J Fantasy Flyers, and we got a lot of good stuff there coming for you next year as well. Hopefully we can drive you home some championships. Like I said, we want to hear your guys' stories. We want to hear whether or not we hurt or helped your team at any point in the year. I know that one guy is still on us about the Terrell Pryor Premium Play of the Week on our YouTube channel. Check us out, J&J Fantasy Flyers as well. He will not let that one go. You gotta let it go, buddy. Frozen time. Let it go. But other than that, we wish you the best of luck on your Week 15 matchups. We hope to get you into Week 16, get you into the championship. Or if Week 15 is your championship, we definitely wish you the best of luck. And just a little shout out to the guy I'm going against in the championship week, Scott Newton, buddy. You're going down. Aaron Rodgers, Le'Veon Bell. Not going to be able to touch it, buddy. Best of luck. You got a shout out in your championship matchup this week, or no?
Nope, just I'm going to win, so it doesn't matter who I'm playing. Just going down.
We'll give you guys updates next week. Other than that, like I said, I'm Joey from J&J Fantasy Flyers.
I'm Jason.
And we'd like to wish you the best of luck. Have a good one.
Good luck.